Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Birds of View Politics and in this video I'm going to be breaking down the interviews I had today in the state of Pennsylvania in preparation for the midterm elections that are currently happening right now as I record this video. The current time is 12:23 p.m. I had these interviews roughly an hour ago and the results should start coming in from my home state in roughly 7 to 8 hours. So, with that, let's get into the video. So here is the official Bird's Eye View 2022 midterm election interview summary. So first, let's start with where was I? So this is a map of the state of Pennsylvania with all the congressional districts. And I was down here in the very southeast of the state, in the 4th district. So that's where I was. It's a lean Democratic district, so tends to have more Democrats than Republicans, but it's not some overwhelming solid blue or solid red seat as they're known, such as in the 15th district in northern Pennsylvania, the cities districts such as the 12th district or the 3rd district in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia respectively. So, first we have to talk about sample ballots. Now, what are sample ballots? Well, here's pictures of the 2 sample ballots I received today when I went to just go see people vote and to go interview them, and I was handed one of these. Sample ballots are very common in the United States. Usually, they'll be distributed by volunteers who are volunteering for a political party. So the Democrats have their volunteers, the Republicans have their own volunteers. And these are the sample ballots for my area. So you can see here, John Fetterman is at the top of the ticket for the Democrats, Mehmet Oz for senator. And these are sample ballots. So this is who each party endorses. So the Republican ballot is on the right, the Democratic ballot is on the left, and when you see them, they'll all be next to each other, and you would bubble in whichever candidate you choose. So those are sample ballots, and they're pretty important when looking at party loyalty. Some voters, if they don't know, but they're very loyal to a party, they might just take a sample ballot and fill in whatever the sample ballot recommends on their actual ballot. So let's also talk about turnout. Now, turnout is usually lower for midterm elections, especially amongst youth. Now, most of you, even those of you who don't live in the United States, will know that we had our presidential election in 2020, and presidential terms are 4 years. However, there are smaller elections for the House of Representatives and for some Senate seats, including this year in my home state of Pennsylvania, that are known as midterm elections that happen every 2 years. There are midterm elections for the entirety of the House and some Senate seats, and turnout's always lower amongst youth. However, issues such as election security and the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which upheld the right to abortion, may have changed that among youth. And I was able to get a lot of interviews with people who were younger than I normally would have been able to in previous midterm elections. So let's go to who did I interview? Well, got 20 people, an even gender split, 12 white, 8 non-whites, 12 Democrats, 7 Republicans, and 1 independent-leaning Republican, so I'll leave them in the Republican column. I also got 2 first-time voters and 1 first-generation American. First-generation American is, for those of you who may not know, those who are either born to someone who immigrated to a country. So I myself am a first-generation American. So what were the top issues? Well, from what I could detect, there were roughly 6 major issues, and each party had their own views on it. So let's start from the top. We had election security. Democrats were mostly concerned with potential voter suppression and securing the voter, while Republicans were mostly concerned with securing the state or securing the election with voter ID laws and making sure that there were no illegal votes. Another big issue is crime. Democrats' big focus on crime was for rehabilitation, which is similar to the Norway-style prison system, although nowhere near that close to it. While Republican issue for crime is mostly about punishment and making sure that those who commit crimes serve what Republicans see as their fair share. Now, an issue that's always been lingering in the background but hasn't ever really come to the forefront is abortion. And in this election, as in previous elections, we had pro-choice Democrats versus pro-life Republicans. However, it is important to note that abortion is a much stronger issue for Democrats because polls show anywhere from 60 to 70% of Democrats and the population as a whole are pro-choice, while a significant minority are pro-life. For racial and LGBTQ plus tensions, Democrats were mostly concerned with encouraging diversity and equality and allowing people to be what they saw as themselves, while Republicans chose to prioritize not seeing color or orientation and to mostly ignore the issue as much as possible because they realistically don't see it as much of an issue. They're more concerned with potential indoctrination that could come via the form of CRT or other issues mostly related to the classroom. For foreign policy, Democrats were very in approval of as much aid to Ukraine as possible, while Republicans in my area were also very much in favor of aid to Ukraine. However, they were more careful about the cost and were worried about where their tax dollars were going. And lastly, perhaps the most pressing issue was political discourse. Republicans thought that it was both sides, that it was Republicans and Democrats who needed to come together, while Democrats thought that it was mostly the Republicans' fault that we are as divided as we are. But they also agreed that it was both sides. Now, the one issue that wasn't talked about as much as I thought it would is the economy, and I think that's because most Democrats or Republicans revolve around the economy in terms of their choices. Republicans are in favor of lower taxes and a limited federal government, while Democrats are in favor of not necessarily higher taxes, but more fair taxes such as the income tax that are going to pay for welfare programs such as Social Security or Medicare. Then I had some influential quotes. We had Christian, who's a local committee person who's a Republican, and he said that getting back to civility and being able to discuss with gentleness and compassion is a must. And this was in response to me asking a question about the partisanship and the divide in the United States between the political parties. And this is something I think both sides agree is very important. And Susan, who's a Democrat, a former local committee person, also agreed, saying that intolerance from one party to another is toxic to democracy. So clearly, both sides agree that democracy is under threat, or at least partisanship is causing democracy to be under threat. And this was something they both cared a lot about. So, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to tune into my live stream that will probably start sometime between 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time later today. So, thank you, and I'll see you next time.